Hey everyone, today is day 22, and today's plan is going to be pretty much just to read all of Dune, the book. And I already went to the gym. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to go through the rest of the challenge, because I mean, this is going to take the entire day other than working out. And I pretty much am just going to be doing, like, everything else on the side. Not really the main focus. So I'm not going to bore you guys with the random stuff for the rest of the challenge. I'm going to focus entirely on the book. But I promise you, I'm going to get it all done. Um, so yeah, every single chapter I'm just going to, like, talk for a couple minutes about what's happening. So if you don't want spoilers to the book, then, yeah, I don't know, don't really watch this video. Because I'm going to try to, like, walk through it as I go. Because I know a lot of you guys have probably seen the movie and haven't actually read the book. And I've never seen the movie, and I really want to read the book. So this will be my first time experiencing the story, but also like having the book has a lot more context behind it than the movies do. So if you've ever seen the movie and you don't care about spoilers, this is like perfect. If you don't want any spoilers, then sorry, this video is just not for you. So yeah. Anyway, let's go. Alright, I just finished chapter 1. There's no actual chapter lines, but there's like a place where like there's a quote and then changes to like a different scene. There's no actual chapter like index in the beginning of the book, which is interesting. It's a very confusing book. There's a lot of interesting, like they have a very interesting world with a lot of unique words and a lot of things that just aren't very well explained yet. But pretty much what happened is there's Paul, who's the main character. He's 15, and he went through a process known as where was it? He went through a process called Gom Jabbar, and the Reverend Mother Gaius Helen Mohayim, she like kind of like threatened to stab him with a needle unless he put his hand into a black box that caused him like pain, but his hands actually ended up being fine. I really like the writing though. It's very good. I mean, most books are, but like I really like the style of it. Now there's this drug called the Truth Sayer drug, and apparently only feminine people can use it, and men can't, because if they do, they die. And they're trying to figure out if he is one of like the one person who can use the Truth Sayer drug and not die, which would make him the Queek's hater. Just finished chapter 2. It was some kind of meeting between higher up political powers that have the intention of assassinating the Duke of Atreides. I'm pretty sure Atreides is the one that Paul is from, who I'm pretty sure is the main character, although I'm not sure either. And I think that the Duke they're trying to assassinate might be Paul's dad. I don't think it's supposed to be clear if that's the case or not, but it's a little confusing at the moment. And then, yeah, there is a couple characters that are important. Fade is like the apprentice to the Baron. The Baron is like the leader, the king kind of dude of this house. And then Piter is the like assistant to Fade, who is the apprentice of the Baron. And also, the Baron is incredibly fat. The Baron moved out and away from the globe of Arrakis. As he emerged from the shadows, his figure took on dimension. Grossly and immensely fat, and with subtle bulges beneath folds of his dark robes to reveal that all of his fat was sustained partly by portable suspensors harnessed to his flesh. He might weigh 200 standard kilos in actuality, but his feet would carry no more than 50 of them. Alright, I just finished chapter 3, and it was pretty much just a conversation between Jessica, who is Paul's mother, and yeah, Reverend Mother. And they discussed how there's like a government system, and the government consists of the Imperial household, and then the Federated Great Houses of Landsraad, and then between them the Guild, which is the monopoly on transport. The Imperial household and Landsraad are kind of like competing political parties. Finish the next chapter. I've completely given up on trying to figure out what's going on with the political parties. Arrakis is Dune, and they are moving there. They're not currently there. It sounds like they're like a ruling class, and they're being like restationed at a new planet. Dune is considered like really valuable planet because it has a lot of spice, which is like some kind of drug thing, but it's really expensive. I don't really know if it's bad for you, so I don't really know what it actually does, but you consume it like a drug, it's really expensive, and having it is important. Like, if you have a lot of spice, then you're considered, like, more important, because spice is, like, in a way, like, the currency, because it's, like, a way to generate a lot of money. Paul's father is a duke, and they are all traveling that way. Paul's father walked in on Paul doing some studying, and was like, hey, you gotta have your back, not towards the doorway. In this chapter, Paul is greeted by his tutor, who is Yue, or Yua. It turns out he is a spy, and it sounds like not only is he a spy, he's there with the intention of causing the death of Paul and his father. But he feels really bad about it, which is mentioned multiple times. And he gave him the Orange Catholic Bible, but like in some kind of small contraption where it has it all. I don't know what the Orange Catholic Bible is, that's interesting to me, but it's like some kind of religion thing in this universe. That's interesting. Oh, they also talked a little bit about the Fremen and two other types of people who were there. And the Fremen are like the people who live on the land. Sounds like Fremen are like the coolest though, and probably the most important ones. And there's also sandworms. I don't really know. I feel like there's a lot of emphasis being put on the sandworms, so I feel like they're gonna be important at some point. This next chapter was just him and his dad talking some more about different political stuff, about sending someone down to talk to the Fremen. A lot more about like how the houses are all a little bit corrupt, at least a little bit. I feel like they don't really do much though. A lot of these past chapters, not a lot has happened. It's just been a lot of talking. Alright, this chapter is interesting. They kind of made it the planet. Jessica was talking with the Duke. They have a very tense relationship, it seems like. And then he left, and then a crazy old lady showed up who, like, kind of threatened to kill her unless she, like, ended up being the chosen one. But then Jessica managed to act as if she was the chosen one, and then Mapes gave her this really interesting knife that's 1 week away from flesh, and it will disintegrate. So you have to like, it has to like cut someone every week or something, which is kind of crazy. Alright, another chapter down. I don't even remember which one I'm on now. It was Jessica and Yua were talking. Yua's the one who is the spy slash assassin. But they were talking as if, I mean, obviously they don't know that. They talked a lot about how the water is like a really big issue, and like there's barely enough water to go around for the people everywhere, and like people were rioting, so there was enough water, but they like ended up building more watering stuff for it, so it's fine. They're just like conversation looking back. Sounds like water is a really big issue for the Fremen. Okay, this chapter just ended. This is from the perspective of Paul, and he actually wasn't sleeping, even though they mentioned he was asleep, because he pretended like he was sleeping, which seems to be a pretty common thing with him. And he got up to try to explore the house that they're in, which is like kind of like a castle. And he almost got assassinated by a hunter seeker, which is a little tiny piece of metal thing that will go towards movement. It'll go up through nerve channels to the nearest vital organ and kill you. So that'd be really bad. So he managed to stop it because he stood completely still, and then Mapes actually opened up the door and it started going after her, but he actually grabbed it in the air before he could do that, and he broke it. In this chapter, Jessica ends up discovering a new room in the building, which is like this like super humid, wet gardening room, which is super like almost insulting if like the Fremen knew about that, because it uses like a ton of water. And inside of it, she finds a secret note. A secret note tells her that they've like set up something inside of Paul's room to try to assassinate him, and also tells him that there's a potential spy, and also says that the Duke's life is in danger. And then after that, Paul actually ends up running down there with the hunter seeker that he found, and they dump it in a fountain. And this chapter is from the perspective of the Duke, and he's very upset that people are trying to kill his son. And it's definitely the Harkonnens. He knows that. He doesn't know like what else. This is the two political parties, and Harkonnens are their enemies. I'm pretty sure that they are the House of Landsred, or they're put there by the House of Landsred. Although I'm not entirely sure about that. But yeah, they're clearly at odds with the Harkonnens from there previously. A lot of stuff about like trying to hire people. A lot of political talk. It was very clear that the Duke is very upset they're trying to kill him. They tried to kill his son. Okay, this chapter was pretty long, and it was pretty much like a diplomatic meeting between all of the different members of the government, and they discussed a lot of stuff. Paul was included in that, who's the main character, and it sounds like they're not in a very good situation. That part is very clear. They're not doing super great. They don't have a lot of money. Their equipment it was already run down when they got there. There's a lot of threat of attack, and there's a lot of assassinations going on. They're not in great standing right now. They seem to have a pretty good alliance with the Fremen, who are the locals there, and that is definitely a really good thing. But other than that, not a lot is going well for them at the moment. Alright, in this chapter, pretty much he talked to one of his agents who was like with someone else, and they pretty much told him that like there was like a rumor of a betrayal, which is like obviously going around a lot right now, and he's suspecting his wife, and that's not who it is, so that's probably not going to go well. Alright, in this chapter, it became more apparent that he actually does not distrust Paul's mom, and that he has to pretend like he does, because he wants them to think that they fooled him correctly in thinking it's his wife, even though they never actually thought it was his wife, because it was the tutor guy who actually it was. But like he can't tell his wife that. Yeah, and then he had like a whole conversation with Paul where he kind of just started to like become pretty despondent. It's clear that he's pretty fatigued right now from all the politics. There's a lot of politics in this book. Alright, just finished another chapter. In this one, the Duke and Paul meet up with Heinz, who's a new character. He's very skeptical, but he's like kind of a leader to the Fremen. And they went and they were flying somewhere, and they ended up discovering like some people mining spice. And then the spice mining factory, like the moving factory thing, like the factories have wheels, it actually got eaten, but they rescued the people inside of it. And that caused Heinz to gain some respect for the Duke, which was very difficult for him to do. And also show that there's a lot of subpar dealings with like the system going on for mining spice that the Duke wasn't aware of. Alright, in this chapter, they kind of had like a meeting between a lot of people who were in power, including this person who's like in charge of the water, and the person who's like the banker, but also just largely did a lot of the water. There's also like the smuggler leader was there, the Fremen leader was there. Yeah, they all just kind of talked. They almost got in a fight with the banker, but then they didn't. And the people who control the water are pretty corrupt, so that's not good. Paul can like pretty much always tell when someone's lying, and then also like kind of guess their motives after they lie. That's pretty cool. Right, in this chapter, Jessica actually discovered that they were suspecting her as being a spy because one of the soldiers became drunk and accidentally told her. And then she correctly guessed that it was Thufir, who's the like right-hand man pretty much of the Duke. And then she accused him and like had a private meeting with him. Then she used her magic Bene Gesserit persuasion powers to make him sit down, which like really scared him. Okay, so that was a pretty interesting plot twist. So all of a sudden, the Duke hears about how Jessica figured out, and he like starts to go over there to talk to her. And then on the way, he finds the ambassador from like the smuggling empire is dead. And then he finds Yua or Yue, I don't actually know how to pronounce it. He shoots him and paralyzes him, and then he takes out one of his teeth and puts in like one of like the fake spy teeth that like you can like chew and it breaks, and then it poisons you and like other people, and pretty much just sent him off to the Baron, who is like the Harkonnen leader, to like kill him, but also kill himself. And now he's like paralyzed and out of it. Dang, okay, this chapter's pretty crazy. Both Jessica and Paul were captured. They were going to end up being sent to the desert to be murdered by sandworms, so there'd be no evidence. But they ended up managing to kick both of the enemy guards out of the ornithopter, something like that. They refer to them as thopters a lot, so it makes me think of helicopter. They managed to kick both people out, and then the chapter ended just as they were about to need to run away because there's more Harkonnens that ended up spotting them and are heading towards them now. Alright, this chapter is pretty short. Pretty much all it talked about was how it went down from the perspective of Yue, or Yua, whatever his name is, I still don't know. It reveals that he has given like the Duke's ring. He's like wrapped it up along with a note, and he's trying to somehow get it to Jessica and Paul. Okay, so this one was actually really weird. It was like from the perspective of the Duke after he got caught, or after he got brought to the Baron, and then he bit the tooth, and then it like had like this massive poison that would go off, and the Baron managed to just barely escape due to like a number of factors, with like a bit of shielding and like a bit of filtration and stuff. And then the rest of the chapter is all from like his perspective of what's going on and stuff. Then the Colonel, I think is how you pronounce it. Apparently he is like even more important than the Baron. That's interesting because as far as I know, and as far as I think it was evident, the Baron was like the most important figure. So the fact that the Colonel is more important is crazy. So we gotta see where that goes. And yeah, there's only like a couple pages left to the end of book 1, so I'm almost there. I'm so close. Book 2 is in the same book as book 1. It's confusing. All right, so this is me from tomorrow. I actually fell asleep on the couch right then, and then I had work first in the morning. Yeah, it's nearly 10 o'clock at night already, and the next day. And I'm just not gonna get to it because like I was right in the middle of reading this next chapter, which is like one of the last ones before I finished this first part of the book, and then I fell asleep on the couch. I'm just finishing this up now, so it's gonna make tomorrow's video kinda not very good because yeah, but oh well. Let's move on to the rest of the book. Dang, okay. So this last chapter was pretty crazy. Pretty much Paul and his mom Jessica, they like set up camp by themselves for the night. Like they hear like what happened and everything from the note that they got from the trader dude. And then Paul like has a absolute fit. Like sees like these visions, and he's like, yeah, by the way, I can like see into the future and like seeing these different paths I could take and like where they would lead and all this other crazy stuff. And then he figures out by studying his mom's face closer that she's descended directly from the Baron, and his mom is the Baron's daughter, pretty much. Like they're directly related. Yeah, he gets all this like crazy like stuff about the Baron and all that, and then pretty much says that they're going to just go live with the Fremen and be exiled into the desert and get desert power, whatever desert power is. And then it ended, and now there's 2 more books still. Honestly, I think I'm a little bit more than 1/3 of the way in. I think it finally started to get good in the last 3 chapters. It was just, there's a lot of politics in this book, a lot of politics. And this is also a book from the 1960s, so it's a bit old. But like, now that I finally understanding like the world and where it's going, I'm feeling pretty great. But anyway, that's all for today's video. My sleep is struggling. A lot better than last time. The first time I did 75 hard sleep was awful. But definitely pretty subpar right now. I'm gonna go edit this up and go to bed because this is already the next day after this video is supposed to be out. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Catch you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow's video is definitely gonna be pretty short. I'll try to get all the way back into it, but I just need just sleep. I really need to get some sleep right now. I think I have to prioritize myself over the quality of the videos for like the next couple days. And then once I finally actually recover, thinking next week is gonna be like peak content. But like, dude, I need some sleep, bro. That's all. Bye-bye.